to the segment, St. Mary's Talks About Race. This is our opportunity to have the conversation, or at least a little bit of discussion, where we try to answer some of the questions that are out there concerning racism. One of the things that we have been challenged with is the simple idea of talking about something that has plagued our country for hundreds of years. How do we talk about race? It's simple. People sit down in a room, make themselves vulnerable, tell their stories, and then we begin a conversation. Today, we're going to look at the question, why are people angry? In light of Black Lives Matter and the heightened fear that has to be going through the minds of many, many people of color. And it seems that we've gotten a lot further along, and perhaps in some ways we have. We've elected an African-American president, and we are now on the threshold of perhaps electing a woman of color, a Black woman, as vice president. And yet and still, we have problems talking about race and racism. So this segment really is to perhaps answer some of the questions that people of color are faced with all the time. And perhaps maybe white people may have always wanted an answer to because they just don't understand. This gives us an opportunity to speak out, speak up. Sometimes our guests will be live, sometimes they will be from recordings and events that I or some of our parishioners may have visited. But all in all, we're going to look at just one question and give you some sense of what it's like to be Black in America.
But anyway, some of the topics with systemic racism embedded in our laws. That's a Google moment. Vagrancy laws. People were arrested for not having a job. This was after slavery. You know, it was another way of trying to keep people trapped. It's some interesting things. When you really learn history that you did not get taught in school, and you learn it, you're like, oh my gosh. Jim Crow laws about racial segregation, we talked about that. They came up with 50 new Jim Crow laws, particularly ones with segregation of schools and how Christian schools began because it was a part of that segregation that we weren't a part of. Law and order, criminal records, the criminal justice system. The video talked about the Georgia drug law where drivers, people of color were pulled over more, and you wonder why people are angry. I had a situation, I live in Delaware, and I live in a little nice community, and the cop stopped me, and I didn't know why, but because of who I am, because of me being a person of color, I kept driving. I was almost home, I was in the development, and I didn't get out, and someone told me, I said, "Tell Daddy, a cop is behind me." And he just wanted to let me know that my character expired. But I don't know. So I'm a little leery. Even in my little suburban neighborhood that I lived in, I'm leery. I'm leery when a cop comes by and stops my husband who was raking leaves and said, do you live there? Like, we saw somebody look like you. They had broken in somebody's house. What's your address? 2019. I was like, what? And then with a jeer or a smear, smirk on his face. I'm like, so I'm gonna break somebody's house, I'm gonna grab a rake, I'm gonna break some leaves. I'm that's stupid. But those are things that happen. And we share these stories. That's why I want you to get into the heads of your students, because I'm sure they might say something about their fear of cops. Because the boys have to be.
Thank you for joining us. We hope to see you again next week.